Welcome to RC Underground Radio.
We're racing toy cars here.
If you've been looking for a podcast that talks about one RC tracks, suppliers, and events, then you're in the right place.
I haven't changed my underwear since the Kenman. I'm not kidding.
I'm
not kidding. It's the same.
I didn't want to go there.
It's this.
And we're glad you're here. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Retzloff and David Brinkman.
I am a BB in a boxcar.
Well, Ryan, okay, we got another week. We had a big race last week. There was a lot of surprises. We got a surprise tonight. We've got an added co-host. We got the number 13, the Badger champ, Jake Bolter has joined us tonight. Jake, thanks for being here live.
Gentlemen, thank you.
We just had the race. We had a big race. I think you guys have watched it, a little bit of the videos on our YouTube channel. Some entertaining racing, right? By everybody
Absolutely.
In the field.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a lot of changes being made. People were working on their cars, wrenching on them quite a bit because it did come out. You know, when we got out for practice, the cars were pretty free, and you had to tighten them up. And as the day went on, and we pounded more laps into the track, built up heat in the tires, and got some cycles through them, it just freed up. So you're constantly, like, the entire day just freeing up your car, getting it to rotate. So It was crazy.
Yeah, and then, Jakey, for you, I mean, this is your first time back to the Underground in a little while. How did you see it from your perspective?
I thought I had my car pretty well set up from the beginning. And then I found out real quick it was not. So by the end of the race, it was pretty much a complete different setup than what I came in thinking was going to do well.
Yeah. So did you go fresh tires coming straight in, or?
No. At first, I didn't. I had some old tires on, and I was like, these are going to be good. They've been doing well so far. I'll be good. And about halfway through practice, I was like, let's just try some new tires. Completely different animal. That alone right there changed the game.
That tightened the car up quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
It was just like, it was all bite then.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot more bite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that foam has been a bit of a challenge, I think, for all of us. But we're starting to get the hang of it.
I mean, you got to remember, right? I mean, we're just a bunch of nerds playing with some plastic, right? I mean, we don't have it down. We've gotten better over the course of this past year, not only running upstairs at work, but at the Underground, and we're starting to learn things now. Right? The more you do something, the better you become at it. Turning laps is fun and it's great, but knowing what adjustments can do to your car, right? I mean, we talk about Murf's chassis tuning setup all the time, reading that, understanding that, and Jake went through quite a bit. I mean, you built your own setup sheets and stuff, but you have to try stuff. You can't get yourself locked into like, this is the way it works, because stuff changes every day. Your tires wear, the track, the humidity in the basement can change some things, right? I mean,
ambient temperature.
Ambient temperature can throw it off. So it's just knowing what adjustments can do. And, I know Matt's mentioned this before. Subtle adjustments on these 1RC cars can make some really big wholesale changes. And that's what's cool about these things. So, just knowing what you need to do, right? Knowing if your car's tight in, tight off, whatever, and knowing what to make those adjustments. And I think, I know you've gotten a lot better at that, Jake, and kind of figuring it out.
I hate to say it, but before racing with you guys, I knew nothing about circle track racing. Absolutely nothing. I don't even think I've ever really watched it that much besides like NASCAR on Sundays and stuff like that. So I've learned a lot over the last year and a half.
So you mentioned, Jake, that you came into it, you had used tires, you were starting to learn some kind of thing. So then what was the adjustments that you made throughout the day? Because you did get really good. I mean, the car started to light up.
It was just a lot of shock adjustments, actually. My right rear, I had a little too much preload on it, and just loosening it up a couple turns changed everything. So between that and then loosening it up and then tightening up the left rear, and that helped a lot just to get it dialed in. And it's amazing how fast practice ends. You go, I got all this time to practice. And next thing you know, you're like, I got 15 minutes left. Let's go.
And it was great in qualifying. And so even like you said, Ryan, every race we seem to get better and better and better. We had a track record that seemed like maybe it was untouchable. And then 3 guys break it in one day.
And technically I tied your breaking, I think, or maybe Ryan's breaking. Somebody's breaking
Yeah.
record. I think whoever broke the record first, I ended up tying that, but it was too late to say anything anyways.
Yeah, but no, that's a good point. So technically,
Yeah.
4 guys under the old track record. So quite a race weekend. There were all kinds of surprises.
What happened Saturday and the surprise that we were all hit with was one of those moments where I'm just like, there's no way. You know, it was just like, come on,
Yeah.
this isn't happening. This isn't real.
It was awesome. It
Mhm.
took me days for it to actually sink in.
Yeah.
But so humbled by it.
Yeah. For
you
sure.
know, I mean, think of what went into this happening.
Yeah.
You know, the cost, the time. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but let's just get to it. I mean, anybody that doesn't know, you've been living under a rock, right? So we were completely shocked. This guy came in, cleaned our clock, set a new track record at the track, won his heat races, won the 150, wore the crown. It was the one and only Matt Murphy. And guess what? We
What?
have the Murf Dogg on
He's
the
here.
line. Matt, welcome to the RC Underground Radio Show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
What did you think of your first experience at the RC Underground?
As far as this race event, as soon as I realized what you guys were doing, what you guys had going on, I was like, man, I got to try to get up there. And I tell guys all the time, hey, man, if I can make it out to your place, I'm going to make it out there. And I actually do mean that when I say that. It's not like I'm just throwing words. But it was one of them situations where a couple things lined up. Each month I have 0 to 1 free weekend where I get to try to go racing somewhere. And this happened to be a free weekend. And all right, I'm going to Wisconsin. So, and along with that, I had my buddy kind of skunk you with the announcement that he was going to come play, because I didn't want you guys to be so packed and have no room and then have me walk in and be like, well, sorry, came all this way, but there's nowhere for you to hang out.
Oh,
No,
I could have
no,
sat
no.
out in the garage.
I was going to say, Murph, do you really think that we do that to you? I was going to say, yeah, we'd bump Ryan way before we'd bump you.
Yeah, well, I try not to throw my weight around too much. So
Now, Matt, I got to tell you. So we're in the driveway, right? And I think Nick Ciccone had pulled up and a couple others, right? So
Jakey, you were
Yeah.
there, right? You
Yeah.
were up there.
Yeah, I was there.
So we're standing there by the garage, right? And Jason pulls in, and there's another car
Yeah.
behind him, and I see this bright pink shirt, and I was like, anyway. And then Dave and Jason start joking about, hey, it's free to race, but parking's $50, And Jason goes, charge the guy behind me. And Jason pulls in, and I see you. As soon as I saw the hat, dude, I was like, what? No way. Wait. No, it really is. It really is Matt Murphy. So that was just like a massive shocker for us. I mean,
I like you said, I was
Yeah.
talking to Jason, and the way I'm bent down on the seat, I can't see the second car, and I kind of see black. I see it's a SUV. I'm like, oh, it's Tom Vassy. I'm like, oh, cool, Vassy's here. And so then Jason's trying to move me along, like, let me park and get it from that guy. Go talk. You need to talk to the guy behind me. Like, he's like, let's get this going, So Jason pulls in, and then I start to move back. You start to make the turn in, and I just get a light view of the pink. And I literally turned to Ryan with a shocked look, right? I was like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was just so
crazy.
cool that, like, I mean, because we've talked before, we had you on the show, and you're talking about how, what you've done for this industry, the hobby and everything. And then for you to actually just show up at our track and say, all right, boys, let's let her rip. Again, what it's all about, bringing everybody together and having a good time. So, man, I just can't thank you enough for showing up. But
well, I'll tell you what, dude, it's average guys like me and you. I mean, I'm no different than anybody else, but average guys that make a little extra effort to give everybody a place to race and get together and enjoy the community of RC racing. I mean, that's what it's all about, man.
Mhm.
So I appreciate you guys having the track and making the effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just hope you had a good time. I hope you felt the show was well run and definitely worth your time coming up there.
Oh, I mean, I had a blast. It's a good time. So, I don't typically have huge expectations going to any particular track. And don't take us wrong. I'm not saying that like there was nothing that there's any wrong, but like I don't go in with huge expectations because every place runs a little different, something or other. They have little different ideas, and I may like a certain style of race. Other guys like this, and it doesn't. If you go in with a certain mindset, you might be let down. And my thing is to go in open minded and just enjoy it. And I didn't know what the format was going in. I was like, hey, let's wing it. Let's see what's going to happen. And never drove on a foam track before, so that was going to be brand new to me. And I just showed up, did my thing, started with the base, literally started with my standard setup and started tuning from there. And just, I mean, testament to the 1RC cars. Just like every other time I've gone to any other track, if I need to tighten the car up, make certain adjustments to tighten the car up, and it actually reacts the way it's supposed to. If I need to free the car up, you make a certain adjustments, and boom, it's freer. And so cars are plenty adjustable for every surface I've ever been on, and just testament to what highly adjustable, affordable forms of RC racing that we love. So, so it was cool, man. I honestly, I dug it. It was it's a neat little show. I've been a part of several small but awesome productions of RC racing, and when I call it a production, I mean it's not just dudes showing up and throwing $10 at the track owner and driving an RC car around for a little bit. It's actually a show. It's entertainment. It's fun. So I enjoyed it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That means a lot. Yeah, the one thing I liked in the format, I don't know where I came from, but I had a quick car and I got to run the fast dash with you. I knew I was going to get destroyed, but it was fun. I can always say, all right, I went mano a mano with the dog and did the best I could. Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah. I was proud of you when you broke the track record.
It didn't last long. Then Ryan 2 cars later did it, and then 3 cars later you did it.
Well,
I'm just saying no one can say you didn't break the track record. You broke the track record that day.
And that's the great guy you are, because you came over to me and you said, "Hey, you broke the track record. Nobody can ever take that away from you." And I thought that was cool. You took time to say that.
Yeah. It you know what? That little accomplishments like that matter, you know. Got 26 years of RC experience and a lot of chassis and tire and knowledge about making stuff run. And I mean, that's my job to figure stuff out and make it run. You know, that's how I make a living. So it's cool when other guys they're doing it for fun are enjoying it just as much. And honestly, like I love the challenge. So you guys are all running like 60s and 70s, and then qualifying comes around. You guys are in the 40s. I'm like, what? Are you guys all sandbagging on me or what?
Yeah, I was trying. But
everyone's cherry picking me in practice.
Once, you know, the crazy thing of this all is that, you know, good drivers make drivers that probably have a little bit less talent. They make them better, right? Because we follow them around. I mean, Jake, you were trying to watch Matt's lap times and his line the whole time.
I had his line down max. Like I was following him perfect, and like I was just trying to run the same line as him. Even at night, I was trying to run the same line as him, just on a different track.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. I mean, when you get somebody at that level, you get that opportunity to actually run with them, right? You learn a lot. And then you said like we ran tonight upstairs here at our Badger Raceway track, and it's interesting that you're like, hey, I kind of learned something, and I tried to mimic that up here.
Yeah, so that's veteran experience teaching guys. It's just, you know, you instantly gravitate towards somebody who's faster and you want to learn. But here's the best part. And you said this, Matt, and you were a man of your word. And I'll never forget this, is you said, I'm going to do a setup sheet at this track, and I'm going to share it with everybody. And sure enough, you did. And I know a lot of guys were pining for that.
I got nothing to hide. So
yeah, exactly. We just appreciate that too. And you know, making that effort to put that all together.
So being the first time on foam, what was it different? Was it similar to something else that you've run?
So there's a few things that I learned and a few things I was doing that probably could have or would have been better or different had I done something different. For one, I started with what I would call very well scuffed in tires. My car was good on them. It was fast, but I had this set of tires that is very well worn. And instead of each block of tread being broke down into 4 squares or whatever it is, it was basically just each little block was just like one solid square. So I would say they were like 80% worn down tires. And my theory was on a foam track, I think I'll get better contact patch and have more grip with that tire. And my theory was correct. When the tire, basically before the prep faded, and when I had to put the car on a track fresh with after being prepped and fresh pack and everything, the car was really good for about 40 or 50 laps, and it was money. But then what I noticed is after the prep kind of went away, it would kind of like polish over that tread, and without having a tire with all the little blocks there to dig in and make grip, I felt like I was actually slower from lap 50 on than I could have been. Um, but that's one thing is the tire deal. I felt like I was really good on the package I came up with tire wise for a short run, but I think for a long run I could have been better on a more treaded tire. And you guys would know better than I do how good a fresh tire is. And that was my one big question I had. I know at my place, if you're running a super late model, brand new tires is as fast as you're going to go. Like brand new. You get 6 or 8 laps to scuff the right sides in, and that is as fast as you're going to go for the next however many laps. And then you kind of just got to stay on top of it from there.
Yeah, I think
so.
I think the big difference is, and we talked about it a little bit when you were there, is that, like say at your track on the carpet, it's pretty much when you put it down, it stays fairly consistent the whole night, correct?
Yeah. So our track, when you put the car on the track, we have the same amount of grip bottom to the top from 4 p.m. till midnight. And no matter how many laps are down, you're gonna have plenty of grip. You're not spinning out like at my place. We have so much grip that you just free the car up as much as you can possibly free the car up, and still drive it. And so we have a lot of grip, but our carpet doesn't do like a lot of guys that run like the CRC black carpet, that ozite style carpets. They are so aggressive with the amount of grip they provide. They actually like really superheat the rubber, and it'll seal off the top layer of the rubber. And that's like an issue a lot of guys have, is the tire will be really good until it's not, and they struggle. And so I feel like the tire I chose polished over in the feature, but I think it's more so based on my tire choice on that condition than say just the track, because the tires I was running before that never really seemed to polish over.
Yeah, and what we've noticed, like when you said reaching out, like, you know, what do you guys know with the tires, is it really changes, because the track typically changes all day long.
Yeah,
and
then
we were
grip up.
Yeah, and then we were going into a situation where we actually had a flood down there, and so had, you know, the rest of the season we kind of the track was working itself in, especially in 1 and 2. But those tiles were not in the same place anymore. So like kind of going into the race, we all kind of didn't know what was going. I ran a couple practice laps to let the gang know, to say, yeah, it looks like she still got grip, but we didn't know if it was going to be fresh or if it was going to be old tires. Everybody was kind of going into it kind of blind.
So there was one line going into 3 that if I hit it technically just wrong, my car would get to bouncing. So I don't know if it was one of the squares has like a raised portion or something, but it was like the nose would bottom out over the bump or something. And there's only one spot that I knew not to hit that spot. Either I had to enter low or enter high and have a high angle of attack towards 3. Otherwise I'd hit it. If I hit it square, I'd go bouncing up the corner.
Yeah, and that's tough to do, because 3 is the narrowest corner of the whole track, right? Just narrows up over there.
Yeah.
So, fresh tires, they work well. Yeah, you're gripped up.
So I will tell you this: I didn't bolt on a fresh set of tires the whole time I was there.
Me neither.
My goal. So we have one track in South Carolina we run at that runs tire prep, and my track's a no prep track. So I have a box of tires that are what I call prep tires. So they've had prep in them. So what I run when I go to prep tracks, and I wanted to just use prep tires for the prep tracks and not waste a brand new set of tires. So
Sure, makes sense.
now I don't know that. And honestly, I don't know that I would have been faster or slower or any different whatsoever with any other tire. So I'm just speculating at this point, but I I didn't get enough data to really figure that out. But there's one other thing I like to mention to you guys. If you watch the videos from the races,
Yes.
98% of the time, I was off the throttle before everybody else getting in the corner.
Yep. Yeah, you backed it up a lot.
Yeah, the foam track definitely. Like, I mean, I'm almost always backing up the entry more than anybody else on the racetrack, and it helps you hit your spots and get to the bottom and not miss the corner. I mean, that's always important, but I really, really, really feel like that was important there. So,
Yeah.
that's on the bottoms where you make it through the corners were easiest place to make a pass, especially when a guy misses the bottom by even 12 inches. When you got a 4-inch wide car, all you need is 4 inches to get it in there. And so
Yeah.
that definitely the mental aspect was I'm telling myself, hey, back up the entry, run the bottom, back up the entry, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And but my motto is like run a higher drag brake, right? And then just back it up, not as late, right? Just kind of throw it in. And that's what gets me sometimes. And that I had watched some of the YouTube videos of you, and I noticed that. I could just tell you were lifting a lot sooner and letting that car roll into the center, and then you just jam on it in the center, and it just bit and it went, and that's real racing. That's how it should go. It's just perfecting that.
That's also, I actually wrote that in my notes on the setup sheet. Before the feature, in hot laps, I was trying a few things, and one of the things I was playing with was drag brake. And on a fresh battery with freshly prepped tires, running less drag brake allowed me to carry more middle roll speed. But when the tires glazed over, not having drag brake in the car, I felt like it made me back up the corner even more to keep it down low and make it the bottom. So I feel like maybe at least 5, if not 10% drag brake is probably where I should have ran it. But hindsight's 2020.
Well, it still looked good at the end there.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say, Murph, there's still a lot of questions, right? Of you said I could try this with tires, so you know what that means. You're going to have to come back at some point.
Well, I mean, I've kind of laid it out to you guys what's going to take to get me back there.
Oh, we know. We know what it's going to take.
We're working on it. We're working on it. Yeah, I think we'll have some good things to share with you over the summer, and then hopefully announce it right here on the podcast. Come at least by July.
So I got to mention
Sounds
this.
Good to me.
I got to mention this now too, Matt, because Jake was fooling around watching the YouTube videos, watching you run your line, right? And I can remember you even in like the C main, B main, right? Because you were lights out, you're in the A main, so you got to watch in corner marshal, and you cheering everybody on. And Jake, tell Matt what you did. It was so funny.
So I was watching the video, and I was watching it in slow-mo, and all of a sudden I hear you yelling, "Get on him. He's scared to pull the trigger." And I'm watching it in slow-mo, and it sounded like something out of a movie. He just, "Get on him. He's scared to pull the trigger." It was awesome.
We were watching that today. He showed that to me today, and I was rolling, man.
Yeah, we're going to try to figure
Adrian.
Right, it was
Exactly.
right. We're going to try to get that into a clip, and we'll get that out too.
It was rad.
I love it.
It's funny.
But it was cool. Good sportsmanship, cheering everybody on, having a good time. And, like I said, it just really honored. It was so good to finally meet you in person and just connect. And you have the opportunity to go to your track or you come to somebody else's or race with you. Like, you're the real deal, man. You help people out. Nick Ciccone lost a pin in his rear end for his hub, and you were like, "I got you, brother." Like, man, that part of it was the coolest thing for me. Just seeing you having a good time playing with cars, It was neat.
Well, that's what it's about, man. It's a brotherhood of people that enjoy the same thing.
Yeah.
We're all racing enthusiasts that choose to do it on a smaller scale that we can afford, and we have fun with it. And man, it's the brotherhood, and we get to have a good time with it. So
Again, thanks so much. Thanks for a surprise. Just amazing. You did a great job, obviously, and thanks again for putting that setup sheet out there. That was super cool as well.
no problem, man. I had a blast. Thank you guys for opening the doors and having hospitality and give us a place to race, man.
Absolutely. We look forward to the next time, and we look forward to coming out and running at your track. Thanks again for joining us tonight.
All right, no problem, man.
We appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Go Fast RC Graphics by Turn 4 Studios is your one-stop for all your RC graphic needs. Custom design from start to finish, Go Fast can have you looking your best on race day. Quality vinyl wraps that won't weigh you down. Go Fast can cover your car, your racetrack, and your trophies. Go online to GoFastRCGraphics.com and get your team looking right on race day. Right now, you can use the promo code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your next purchase. That's GoFastRCGraphics.com.
You know what? I called my shot earlier in the week prior to it because I'm like, you know what? If Nick Ciccone can call his shot and walk in and win a Midwestern, then I'm going to do it. I'm like, I got this car. I'm coming for these guys, right? I'm going to take this thing. And when Matt showed up, the first thing I said was like, well, I guess I'm not winning today. And
I remember you said to me, wow, I'm really glad we didn't put that segment in the show last week.
Yeah, that's true. Because we did actually record that. I did say it, and I'm grateful you didn't actually put that in there because I would have been eating a lot of crow. But I mean, you know, setting a track record, TQing, winning the heat, and winning the main. Like, you couldn't ask for a better guy to do that. You know, I mean, Matt's just,
and
just
he made all of us better.
Yeah,
by him running that great, made the rest of us better. Wouldn't you agree, Jake?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And there was no gloating either. There was no whatsoever of like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to beat all these guys and walk away. I didn't feel that way at all.
Yeah, and then of course, you know, you got Jason Walecki there. I mean, he was no slouch either. I mean, he really...
Yeah, it really stinks when you get beat by your own car. I mean, as much as I enjoy providing cars for guys, what is this beating me with my own car? I'm getting a little perturbed with that.
Do you want me to do it one time?
I doubt that would happen. But if Jakey jumped in there, I bet.
Hey, we can try. We can see what happens.
Let's do something. Let's go. Yeah, it was just a great race. One guy I want to mention is Nick Ciccone. Is that bugger was driving around without a pin in his axle hub for like half the day. Puts one in, and he's like, my car's still out to launch. I look, his tires were like rocks. I mean, it was like a Flintstone mobile. These things were just so rock hard. And I go, brother, have you done anything to these? No, you know, if you know Nick, right? Just here's a fresh set of tires. Throw these things on and go. And he did that. He glued up his right front so he'd eliminate that traction roll. He goes out for like 5 laps and he goes, Ryan, yeah, we're good. And if you noticed, if you watched that feature race, guys, and I know you have, Ciccone, yeah, okay. You got Matt out there. He's hot dogging, and you know, the guy just knows what he's doing. But you had Nick 5 laps back, I think it was. And he never fell off after that. He was just... He
never lost pace.
No. I mean, he got a little stuff in the beginning, but then he came right back around and was just clipping him. And I'm like, dude, this guy, I mean...
I can't remember exactly what it was, but obviously Murf Dogg had the best median time, but I think Nick was second, and he wasn't like crazy off of it. And to your point, when you watch those videos... He got 5 laps down, I think 2 or 3 early, and then Dog got him a couple times on the track, but then that was it. Like he just never went beyond that 5-lap deficit. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, I mean, obviously I wanted Jake in there and George because those guys were pretty much lights out all day. I mean, your car was good, but then we just got into some traction roll issues, and
I was rooting for George before the race even started.
Yeah,
I want to see George do something well.
Yeah. Well, I think you know, Matt being a man of his word, and he posted the setup sheet today. George is at home right now, pulling his car apart and going through it. You know,
for sure.
Yeah, and George is extremely consistent. He's fast, right? He's got to find it, and I think in that setup sheet, George will, and he'll be able to pick it apart. That's the one thing about George is you want to help him, but he kind of wants to do things on his own. So that's I believe that's how he learns.
Well, and he enjoys it. He'll be the first to say he enjoys working on the car as much as he does driving it.
Exactly. I mean, his pit box is just so rad. I was telling Jake about it, and Jake's like, "Ooh, that thing's slick." But yeah, so I think George having that setup sheet will give him an even better baseline a lot. And I'm going to tell you this: he will be in the feature next race, and I'll say that he's probably going to be a top 3 car because he can wheel it. It's just he's got to get a little extra, and I think that setup is going to help him.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember he hasn't touched a controller. I think he said in almost 30 years.
Yeah,
but I was back there in those 30 years ago, and the man can wheel.
Yeah,
he's won a lot of
we
races.
Know he can.
Yeah,
we know he can.
Second all time in Storm history points and wins, and he's won Midwesterns, and so he's definitely got the talent. It's just taking a little time to jump back behind the wheel and get it to come all together.
Yeah,
and honestly, let's go back to George again, Sportsman of the Year. That man, I didn't even know he bumped my car, and he stopped racing, and I was yelling, "Go, George, go!" And he wouldn't go because he bumped my car. Like, that was amazing to me.
Yeah, he's a good human being just in general.
Yeah, because you guys were fighting for that transfer spot, and he basically tapped out to say, "Hey, now I'm not going until Jakey can go," and that's something.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and you and George are actually the ones that kind of started that down there, like 3-4 races ago, and we talk about the etiquette of racing, and you guys kind of put that unwritten rule in the book, and then we see it more and more. But yeah, it just gets you every time because what's on the line. It's like this is the end of their day, and it's like one boxer picking up another boxer off the ground so he doesn't make the 10 count, and says, "Come on, now let's box again. Let's box this out." And it's just amazing to watch.
I'd rather lose on a good race than win easily. So yeah, I'm going to slow down. If it's my fault that someone else crashed, I'm going to slow down just so we can have a good race. I'm not in it for the win. I'm in it for the fun and the competition.
Yeah, Jake said it right. If you're going to win, you want to win right. You don't want to win it on a kind of a default of somebody else, right? Just getting some bad luck. So yeah, can't say enough about the race. Can't say enough about all the races. The only thing that's a bummer, there's only one to go. There's only one left.
Yeah, it is what it is, but it's summertime. It's tightening up. Jake's itching to wet a line and go fishing. I've got sports going on with my kids now. I mean, track season's going. It's tough, and then but we do have outdoor tracks,
right?
We got our buddy Aaron at Attitude. I'm gonna miss the race this weekend. I'm so mad about it. But the 21st, he's got a race after our race on that Saturday, so he's racing on Sunday. I'm gonna go up there with Jason and. Hopefully Jake will join us and go have some fun. So, we got a lot of that going on. But yeah, it's going to stink. But I think for all of us, it's a good break. We can get in our summer activities, spend some time with family. We're still all friends. We're all going to hang out, just not as frequently, maybe. But then we got something to look forward to, right? And then racing coming up in fall.
Well, that's the plan. It's that anticipation. It's we've said several times. It's like our bowling league, right? You don't bowl all year round. It's usually kind of a winter sport. But once it gets done, you're kind of looking forward to a little break from it. But yeah, a couple months off of it, and then you're like, yeah, it's time to get going. And just the fun over the summer of like, yeah, I think I'll get some new batteries, and I don't know, maybe I'll get a new chassis. Or it's just the painting up new cars and wraps, and there's still a lot that's going to go on in the off season, and we'll continue to carry it here at RC Underground Radio.
I've got some new ideas. I think in the off season, I'm going to start putzing around with maybe a new car color combo design thing. So I don't know.
I thought you were going to talk about setup, and I was like, oh, here we go. Here's the rule.
Oh,
Here's
I got a whole new
maker.
setup I'm going to throw
Here's
in this car.
The rule maker.
I'm going to figure it out. Give me my mini files, my scales, and let me see what I can do here.
You'll be in the lab.
Yeah. It's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
Because it's not sunny and 80 degrees every day in summer. It's going to rain. We're going to have to, you're going to have to go down to the lab and you're going to have to build some speed. And that's what I'm going to do.
Well, if it's 90 or 100, the air conditioning in the lab is good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll be there too. There's possibilities on either end. So, guys, I got to bring up a topic that's really been amazing here this last couple of weeks, and it's really all about an amazing man, Ron Peacock. And we were blessed to actually be asked to see if we could talk to Ron and do a show just dedicated to him and his story. And it has really resonated with people that know nothing about RC. My wife and I have been working with a financial planner, and it came up in conversation. And she reached out to me and said, "Can you send me the link to that podcast you were talking about?" I'm like, "Well, it's about RC racing." And a guy, she goes, "No, from what you told me, I really want to listen to that." And then she listened to it and she's like, "Oh, you should have told me I was in my car and just literally at a stoplight, just wiping my eyes," because she said that was so endearing. So, I mean, Ryan, just what a blessing we had the opportunity to host that, right?
Yeah, he's a great man, and somebody that, that his story just really needed to be told. I know he feels great about it. He's reached out to me, and his family and friends have been listening to it. And he's just in a good place,
We hit all the goals that we hoped for him, right? To tell his story, to set that legacy, his family. It was all for him and his family and friends. Everyone, and he has so many friends, right?
He does.
But it was just, it was just an honor.
We get caught up in the day-to-day, and we forget kind of where our heads should be and how we should treat others and all of that. Ron, no. Even fighting a terminal illness, he's still on that straight path, and he's just going full steam ahead.
And he's worried about everybody else,
Yeah.
right? So he's reaching out. He's got his prayer devotional that he sends out every day without missing a beat, right at the same time. And that's because he wants to make sure he's reaching others and helping others and helping them through whatever it's on their mind. I mean, just the selflessness of the man is just awe-inspiring.
I'm going to read a text, and I know you got it too this morning, but this was from Ron to you and I. He said, "Jesus loves you both, and so do I. Thank you, both of you, for both of you." Mm-hmm. This is the impact this guy has on people, and that's why I'm so passionate about getting that word out there about just who he is. Be a good person.
Yeah.
Live your life the Ron Peacock way, and you're going to be A-okay.
Yeah, you're going to be good. You're going to be good.
You've been listening to RC Underground Radio. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, drop us a line at rcuradio@gmail.com. We're curious to know, what do you like? What don't you like? Who would you like us to talk to?
Sounded really weird.
It was weird, but you know what I meant. We're talking about racing, so...
Okay.
You can find us on Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. See you next time on the RC Underground Radio Podcast.
I am a BB in a boxcar.